Okay, so today we're going to be talking about OWASP Top 10 Number 5 Security Misconfigurations. And the important thing here is that good security requires good configuration. There was a DoD report that came out in the middle of last year, and it said 80% of all of the successful attacks are mistakes by humans. And this is in that category. So if your system is misconfigured and it's misconfigured to be insecure, that's the kind of problem that falls in that 80%. So you want to really be careful about security and the configuration. So who are the threat agents? Could be anonymous external attackers, but also this is something that could be used by internal insiders as well. Very easy to exploit. If you're an attacker, you can look at listings, you can easily find out which products have default settings, and when these default settings are set insecurely and they're not secure by default. You can find out what products have default passwords and then use those default passwords, assuming that many people won't change the passwords. The big attack that caused a huge denial of service back last fall was all about video cameras and these default passwords. And so the attackers knew these video cameras, default passwords, let's exploit that. Very easily done. Attackers can also look at vulnerability databases and find out these types of things and attack based upon that. So this is something that's very easy to exploit on the part of the attackers. Very common as well. Staff members that are not attuned to the fact that systems need to be secure by default can allow this to happen. Actually, software developers that don't develop with secure settings by default, developers who leave in default passwords, they cause this kind of problem. And we talked about Cloud Bleed in the first panel of the first week, and this was a default password or default account setting. Easy to detect. So, if you have knowledge about configurations and you're a developer, it's easy for you to detect these types of vulnerabilities. So you want to make sure to do it. There are also automated tools that can help you as well. Moderate impact when this does happen, but moderate on average. In some cases, it's really devastating. So in some cases, you can lose, cause a denial of service of many parts of the internet. You can lose all of your accounts. So it can be very severe, but on average, it's about moderate. So some example scenarios. We've used this type of example so far in this module. So one is default accounts aren't changed. The administrator console is active for the default administrator account. Now, isn't that a terrible thing if the administrator account has a default password? And then the attacker just searches for the default account credentials and uses those to take over the system, especially bad if it's an administrator account. Another type of attack, your system has not disabled directory listings. And if that is the case, an attacker could use, // kind of navigating through the directory structure and be able to find many files that may not be protected. And so you want to make sure you disable, first of all, you secure the files themselves, but another defense in depth scenario says you don't enable or you actively disable directory listings. Another one is if you don't catch your exceptions and the configuration returns stack traces to the user. There's a lot of information in those stack traces that could be used by an attacker. There's path information, including file names, module names, potentially even variable names. So you want to make sure that you catch all your exceptions so this information does not flow to the attacker that they can use. So how do you prevent this type of vulnerability? You need to make sure your deployed systems are checked regularly to make sure that the settings are correct, that you're not using libraries that have known vulnerabilities in them. You want to keep up with the latest security patches in the news to see within your configuration, do you have anything insecure? You want to audit your production system periodically. And you want to check for misconfigured or disabled security features. Make sure the security features are all turned on. And then finally, force a change of credentials. So don't allow, when you develop a system, don't allow the credentials to be left in the default settings. Immediately require the users to change their credentials. So just a little comic to set us off. My security software kept insisting that I download critical updates. I don't have time to do all that, and I couldn't risk without using my computer without critical updates. It was a no-win situation. Did you accomplish anything this week? What part of no-win is confusing to you?